Alright my little chicks, hope you're doing wonderful. Today I'm going to show you how you can make a fat, massive drum and bass drum group. How you can make it sound professional, loud in your processing with really a small amount of work. Okay, so no fancy plugins required. If you haven't done these three main things first, before you're trying all your expensive gear, if you haven't done these three important must-do things first, there's really no point in doing anything else. Alright? So the three main things that you can do on your drums straight away to get them professionally loud and excellent, and it's pretty much the only thing I ever do on my drums. I don't really do anything else other than this. Number one, clip the drums. Number two, turn the volume up. Number three, add some multiband parallel distortion. Alright, so that's my favourite way to get my drums sounding super loud and powerful with absolutely minimal effort. So let's take a break here. I've got a wonderful amen break to use as the example in this demo. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my clipper. So I've got any clipper will do. This is another thing that people will... I've had it with students and I love them very much, but yeah, they'll get very technical about which clipper to use. At the end of the day, in my opinion, they're all exactly the same. And if you're thinking about which clipper to use, it shows me that you're already you're overthinking stuff way too much already. Right, a clipper is a clipper. Anything would do. Fat Effects is the one I use in Logic, the hard clipping mode. But even now, I'm talking about which clipper I'm using, and I'm basically undermining what I just said, so it doesn't matter. Alright, so you've got a clipper on, so nothing's going to go above zero, right? This break, as you see, it's below zero anyway, but now I can turn it up and I can see how far I can push it, right? So if I push it up to over 1 dB, now we're hitting zero and it's being clipped. If I go even higher now, you know, I'm going into the clipper, but it's still, the clipper is obviously putting it to zero, which is wonderful. Because it means that what we hear is what we get when we export it, and that's the only reason. Alright, so next, what I'm going to do now is find where things start to distort. Like, how much room have I got to squeeze this drum group? So I can turn it up. Cover your ears, because it might get quite loud, but we're going to push it until distortion. Okay, so at 10, it's clearly distorting and sounding horrible. It's the kick drum that first starts to fall apart. And even around 8, you hear the kick drum sort of starting to fall apart. So I'm going to bring it back down a bit. And I don't have to get it like spot on, but I'd rather be slightly on the clean side than the distorted side. But here, about 5 dB. Very close to that limit, but sounds clean still. So I'm going to leave it at 5 dB. And then what have I done? I've made my amen break, which originally sounded like this, to sound like this. It sounds massive already, doesn't it? And all I did was turn the volume up. Alright, so that's two of the three things done already. Clipped it and turned it up. Alright? We don't need to do stuff like put the compressor on the master, because even if I try and compress the master and dial in some perfect settings, or compress the drums there or on the master, wherever, even if I try and dial things in, compressing it down, turn the makeup gain up, I'll turn it off. It's much better how it was before. The reason being is because the compressor's gonna change the dynamics, and the kick drum is super powerful in drum and bass, and it needs to be the key element. And so the compressor, obviously, it takes down the loudest element, and the kick is the loudest element. So there's no point in using a compressor on anything that contains the kick. So that's the master of your track as well, because the master of your track contains your kick. So anything that contains the kick in any part of the signal chain, there's no point in compressing it. There is one compressor I use on my mastering in a very subtle way, and that's got a certain analog emulation, which introduces like almost a bit of saturation, and it does like a gentle amount of compression, but it's mostly that analog emulation and the saturation in the harmonics that makes it sound nice and powerful and warm in the low end. It's not the actual compression itself, you know. So usually though, no matter what compressor you're using, if your goal is to compress, then you're doing, if on the master example, if your goal is to compress, then what you're saying is, I don't want the kick drum to be powerful anymore. So that's why I tell people to take it off. So delete that, Control Alt Delete, and never put it on again, ever. All right. And it might take you a few years to unlearn all of the stuff that other people have taught you, but eventually you'll realise that they've all been lying to you. All right. And next, what we can do to actually get more volume now. So we've already done the one most important thing, which is to turn the volume up. So once we've done that, how we can get even more volume now. Remember, it was the kick that was starting to fall apart, wasn't it? It was the kick that was falling apart when we turned it too high. And why is that? It's because the low end, we're driving the low end too much. We've got too much low end volume when we push the volume up with the kick in. But we can still get away with boosting all the highs without turning the kick low end up. So that's what we do next to get the extra volume squeeze, right? This is a great way to do it. Any multiband saturation will do, but a good quality one will be more ideal. So the multipass is great, and I've just distorted the high end with the saturate mode. And you can turn the mix up first. Down here I can do a parallel mix control, right? So saturate my high end, pick a nice area. I've gone for like 1.4K, driving it up a bit. I even added a bit of width just for fun, just a small amount of width. And then, yeah, mixing it in. And I think I settled on around, yeah, about 19% it was. And that sounds perfect to me. And then if I take that off, put it back on, I've easily got like a 15% extra volume boost, or maybe 20% extra volume. You let me know in the comments what you think, how much it was. But I mean, that's a massive volume improvement as well, isn't it? And now my drums are super loud and smacking, and all I've got to do now is mix the rest of the track around them, and it's going to be a fat tune. All right, because my drums are fat to begin with, so everything else will work. So even if it's the aim and break and I haven't done any chopping up of the break, at least I've got that to sound big and powerful and fat in the post-processing by doing the opposite of what most people do, and actually doing the three most simple things, which is clip the signal, turn it up, and then turn it up again with saturation, but only in the part which has room to be turned up still, i.e. not the low end of the kick, which you'd already got to a point before where it was not distorting. So this is really simple. It's so simple, and if you haven't done this on your drum group, there's no point doing anything else. You might as well turn your laptop off if you haven't done that. You could do that first, because then everything else is going to fall in line, you know? So do that first, always, on your drum. Obviously, if you've got a whole drum group, do that on the drum bus, you know? Get that volume up, saturate all the highs, mix it in, clip the signal, and you've got a fat, powerful drum group. I see it many, many times on so many people's tracks and in their sessions when I'm doing classes, for example, that they haven't done this, you know? And they wonder why their mix down's quiet or why it's weak. It's like, because you haven't turned your drums up yet. Turn your drums up first, then book a lesson after that. Yeah? I'm just being a bit dry and mean today, but really, this is actually super useful. Like, when I figured this out, it helped me like get consistently good sounding drums in all of my mixes. So here's a tip for you today. Do these three things, then, you know, try something else afterwards, but don't do anything else until you've done this. And I promise it will help you out a lot. All right. Thank you very much for watching my video today. I highly appreciate all of your support on the channel. I love you guys very much. You know that. May I remind you as well, if you do want lessons with me, links are always in the description of my videos, my one-on-one coaching. We deep dive into anything that you want to work on, and you can just say, you know, Artifact, listen to this. What am I doing wrong? What am I missing? And I'll know exactly what step you need to go in next, because I've taught over 100 people, probably about 140 people maybe. Got a high body count, you know. Yeah, so I don't say that to brag. I just mean I have accrued a lot of experience with working with people. So for me, it's quite straightforward to give you like the direct advice that will help you specifically, because there's, you know, a lot of people don't want to sit through like this course and then, you know, like think they hopefully will learn something on slide 17 and like, no, we don't have time for that in 2025. We've got to pinpoint what weaknesses are and then solve them straight away and then move on and make better music. All right, so that's the best way you level up with me, 100%. Next, yeah, come and join my Discord family. They are wonderful people. We'd really like you to join. Accessible via Patreon, but you can get group feedback. You can join our upcoming feedback live streams, be part of a vibrant and buzzing community. We'd love to have you in there. Thirdly, check out my preset packs for Faceplant, Vital and Current on my website. I put a lot of time into making those packs. I'm sure you will enjoy the sounds in there. And lastly, yeah, if you want mixing and mastering, just email me at info@artifactmusic.com for a price. You can even send your track for, if you're not sure if it's ready to be mastered, I don't mind having a quick listen and letting you know if I think you could improve it more first or if I think it's ready to be mastered. You can try using AI mastering, but it won't be as good as me. Yet. Maybe in the future, but not yet. Alright, that's enough from me today. I hope this was helpful for you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Much love. More from me soon. Ciao, ciao.